Hey, my name is Kim Cobler, and I'm going to start reading excerpts of my book. I'm going to do a chapter at a time. The chapters are kind of long, but I'm going to start putting these on my website. I'm building the supporting website to go with the books as I go. So I'd love to hear your comments and feedback, but this first section is just going to be the introduction. All right, and the book is called Courage to Emerge Triumphant 10 Keys to Cultivating Growth, Healing, and Giving Back in Your Next Phase of Life. And I'm going to scroll through. So, the introduction. What does it take to live a joyful, purposeful life? Who comes to mind when you think of people who are succeeding in life? What do they do to thrive in their family relationships, spiritual endeavors, careers, financial security, community, service ventures, and more? Do you wonder if they have something you don't, or if there is a magical formula? There really is no single formula, but there is one attribute that can set you apart and propel you further than anything else. That attribute, I believe, is courage. What is courage? How do you get it, and why is it so valuable? Courage is about taking risks, learning to trust, and showing up braver every day. As I look back on my life, this was the thing I was probably lacking the most. This is why it has taken so long for me to write this book. I had been courageous enough to become a director of a business and eventually own my own business, pursue my education to become a doctor, lead large software development teams across the world, leave an unhealthy marriage after 35 years, or even run 5 marathons. But the hardest thing for me was the courage to be my divine self. I went through most of my life avoiding and discounting who I was and what I loved to get the approval and acceptance of others. I was busy working hard and fighting to prove my worth, hitting the checklist of all the things I thought I should do without actually investing in all the things that really matter. This book is about, sorry, scroll down. This book is about the courage it takes to let go, to embrace your divinity, to use your spiritual gifts, and step into the beautiful person you are today. This is the kind of courage it takes to say no or yes to the seemingly small acts that for you are gut-wrenchingly hard and that possibly no one else would even see as courageous. I'm talking about the kind of courage it takes to live every day passionately while pursuing your heart's desires, the kind of courage you need to foster growth, build self-confidence, and embrace the power of obedience and discipline. The kind of courage required to let go of the need to control, manage, and manipulate outcomes and truly submit your will to the Lord. This kind of courage brings peace, joy, and meaning, but it isn't easy. It is what I call David courage. Remember the story of David and Goliath, 1 Samuel 17? David had defeated the lion and the bear out in the fields with God's help, and from his experience, he knew of the Lord's strength. Quote, "The Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hands of this Philistine." End quote. And that's 1 Samuel 17:37. David's past gave him confidence, but facing Goliath was so much bigger and something he had never done. It required faith that God would be there for him. That greater faith in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges is David courage. We all have Goliaths to overcome. I have tried to protect myself from Goliaths by armoring up, much like Saul did as he readied David for battle. I too put my armor on to keep myself safe and protected. Yet here's where David's story is so incredibly touching and powerful for me. David was already wearing armor, the armor of God. It was much stronger than a helmet of brass or a sword. He wasn't focused on defending himself with armor that was heavy and burdensome. He was focused on defeating Goliath with God and his own proven skills, tools, and abilities. He was so confident and trusting, he took the armor off. Then, free from the weight of this armor, he took his shepherd's staff and walked to the nearby brook to choose 5 smooth stones. He carefully picked the stones that would fit into his sling and would stay on course as they flew through the air in order to hit his target and defeat Goliath. These were his proven tools. And that's in 1 Samuel 17:40. I spent many years finding my stones, building my skills, learning new tools, and trying to find confidence without thought of God's help or armor. It wasn't until I turned to God and submitted my will to Him that these skills and tools began to take hold and truly be effective. I began to see the power of the tools God has given us and that there is no shame in using these tools. In this book, I share the stones I have proven, the stones that still help me every day to find courage, to lead a joyful, meaningful life, but more importantly, to defeat my Goliaths as I partner with the Lord. No one is alone in their Goliath experiences. I have learned every experience in life offers a valuable lesson. Thinking about life as a series of lessons, not failures or wins, provides the opportunity to own what didn't work and leverage what did. With each experience, it is important to ask, what has this taught me? What have I gained? What am I missing? And how have I grown? That's how we begin to transform learning into wisdom. In this book, you're not just reading pages, you are on an interactive journey, a journey to reconnect with your divine self, identify what you think and feel about past experiences that have shaped you, discover how to let go of the residue that isn't working, and courageously move forward with a new and better way. In each chapter, I blend life principles, spiritual truths, and research findings, giving you the opportunity to take action, innovate new ways, and even find comfort for where you are in your life's journey. This looks different for everyone, so give yourself permission to try things you have never done before. Keep an open mind while at the same time working within the structure and guiding principles we are taught in the scriptures and through our church leadership. It can be one of the scariest and yet most rewarding ways to live. The concepts in this book provide the necessary safety and structure to push yourself and find joy as you continue to develop and grow at any age. As you read this book, I hope you will feel the wonder and awe I feel when I learn how science and research support the principles and teachings that have always been written in the scriptures. Having this extra information often gives the why or the how these time-tested principles in the gospel work. This bolsters my testimony of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I hope it does the same for you. With that in mind, one of the most fascinating and disappointing things for me is how Western medicine has historically done very little to acknowledge the power of God and spirituality in the healing process, or to consider how our body, mind, and spirit are tightly interwoven and interdependent. This book highlights 10 keys that are based on this foundational idea and why I feel called to share these findings and my beliefs. I love that the first letter of each key creates the acronym Triumphant. Now you know why the book is titled Courage to Emerge Triumphant. T is turn to the Lord. R is respect who you are. I is instill basic health principles. U is understand your goals and vision. M is measure yourself accountable. P is picture your perfect image. H is have fun. A is ask for help. N is never give up. T is tell yourself the truth. These keys will influence your ability to overcome the natural man, foster sound prevention practices, and bolster your courage to achieve self-mastery and become triumphant in your endeavors. Although there are many tips and tools throughout this book, one of the most common tools I use is emotional freedom technique, EFT, often referred to as tapping. This technique is referenced in most of the chapters. The focus on clinical EFT is because I have experienced so many benefits from it in my life as well as the lives of my clients. It is easy to use and flexible. A number of significant evidence-based studies show it is very effective before behavior change, reducing stress, anxiety, and even physical pain. A 2017 meta-analysis of EFT treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, in adolescents suffering with anxiety showed EFT is an effective treatment and is considered an evidence-based treatment. The study compared EFT to cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is one of the most common methods of therapy used today. Although today there's a lot more somatic type therapies that are, I think, becoming more and more successful and are used more often. But CBT is still very common, and EFT showed significant improvement results comparable to the CBT control group. But the EFT control group realized results in a shorter period of time, and improvements were sustained for a longer period of time. EFT isn't a one-size-fits-all or the only tool in the toolbox, but I've had a lot of success with it personally and professionally. I know all the tools in this box or this book will help build your courage to take off your protective armor, defeat your Goliaths, and emerge triumphant. This is the courage the world and the future generations need now. As you live in your integrity and in closer alignment with your values and according to His will, you will automatically bring joy and goodness to the world. The more you share with others, the better the world will become. My deepest desire is that this book will help you find your stones, the tools necessary to build confidence and foster hope, healing, and courage as you actively engage in the next phase of your life with energy and excitement. I look forward to seeing you become emboldened to embrace all that you are as you contribute well beyond your family to future generations and maybe even to the world. That's the introduction to the book, and I'm actually creating a website as I go. At the end of each chapter of the book, there will be a QR code that takes you to a place where you can download tools or meditations, EFT scripts, and additional helps that you learned about in that particular chapter. There will also eventually be podcasts going into more depth about that particular piece because really each chapter in this book could be a book all by itself or maybe even more. So these are very broad topics, but I'm just sharing the tools and the things that I've learned and continue to use every day because this book isn't about portraying myself as somebody who has mastered these things. This book is about being steeped in the concepts within this book and working just like you work every day to improve and create a better, more meaningful life for myself and for others. And so I hope you will join me in this journey and look up the website and follow along with the book. Well, thank you. If I can just turn the recording off.